President Trump last night with Sean Hannity in Pennsylvania ripping that Iran nuclear deal as we await his decision on whether or not he will recertify the agreement. Deadline is Saturday. Adam Kinzinger, Illinois Republican, member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Sir, how are you? You had a big hearing yesterday, and thank you for being here today. Apparently, based on reports, he's going to kick it to Congress. What then?
Yeah, so it's going to put, if this happens, I've been briefed on what he's going to do. Obviously, I don't want to confirm or deny anything until he gives his speech, which I think the speech is actually going to give a broader interpretation of the full strategy. Right now, people are just hearing pieces of what he's potentially going to do. But I think when the president outlines the broad strategy, it's going to make a lot of sense. With decertification, you know, look, I can see both what the chairman of Foreign Affairs says and when he says just keep it but enforce it. But the decertification, the good thing about that is it's going to give us an opportunity, I think, to bring our allies back on board and to negotiate with Iran a deal that makes sense. Because look at what we have right now. Ballistic missile development, like we're seeing in North Korea right now.
Significant.
Yes, and it's exempt from this deal. This doesn't even address it. And I asked one of the witnesses, the administration witness yesterday from the prior administration, and he said, yeah, we started with ballistic missiles in this deal, but we knew we couldn't get to a deal, so we took them out. So obviously we were willing to throw the kitchen sink at this.
I'm just reading from the Washington Post. The president will declare the deal as not in the U.S. national interest. That's pretty apparent from his reaction for the past year and a half, while stopping short of recommending renewed nuclear sanctions. You invoke the chairman of your committee, Ed Royce. He was here yesterday, and this is what he said he would do.
I would, as I said, I would enforce the hell out of the current agreement.
You would talk the president out of decertifying?
Right. What I would do is I would keep the existing agreement and add to it.
Said he'd enforce the hell out of it, as you heard. He said that numerous times in an interview yesterday. Why not go that route, as he suggests?
Well, I think I think that's a good route. I think the chairman's route is good. I've said that, you know, we need to basically look for any violations of this agreement. The problem is when you're looking at violating the technicality of the agreement versus the spirit of the agreement, it's a very different thing. Iran is violating the spirit of the agreement, whether or not they're violating the technicality. But I think decertification, and again, as the president, I think will explain this in a broader way that we can understand a broader engagement, but it gives us an opportunity. He's not tearing the deal up and going home. He's saying we're decertifying it, and it's going to allow, hopefully, the Europeans, the Iranians, and us to come back and say, here's some holes we need to fill. As an example, the IAEA gets mailed in some of the soil samples from Iran that says, yeah, trust me, it's from here.
They don't have physical access to the sites.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of the military
original
sites.
Deal. Right.
I want to try and figure out how Iran responds in my final question here. This statement came out on Monday on screen. If the news is correct about the stupidity of the American government in considering the Revolutionary Guard a terrorist group, then the Revolutionary Guards will consider the American army to be like Islamic State all around the world. You know this administration, James Mattis, President Trump, they've got a big problem with the entire region stemming from Tehran. What does Iran do? Can they cause more problems than we have already today? Does that concern you?
Well, I think they can cause more problems. Keep in mind, about a quarter of the American soldiers killed in Iraq were killed because of Iran. That's right. Something important to remember. You know, right now we saw after this deal that they were emboldened and had money to destabilize the region. So I don't put anything past Iran. They're the major destabilizing force in the Middle East, and they constantly talk about how they want to wipe Israel off the map. We have to take them serious at that. But I think the president, as well as talking about this deal, the JCPOA, is going to outline how we're going to address Iran more broadly. And I think it's going to be refreshing because it's a strategy that we haven't heard articulated for years.
The point is they can still mess with us, Congressman, in a big way.
That's true. That's true. And you know what? International politics is a messy game. And when we've ceded leadership in that region for 8 years, we can see sometimes some difficult things. But have no doubt, Americans should have no doubt the American military and American diplomacy is way better than anything Iran can think of.
Amen to that. Adam Kinzinger, thank you for your time. Republican from Illinois. Thank you on Capitol Hill today.